The electoral process have started running in full swing. Politicians across the country have technically launched into electioneering jostling to win the electorate and their votes. The potpourri of political activities have set the polity buzzing. There is tension and anxiety everywhere. All sides, all talks now focus on the elections coming in less than a year. But what about insecurity? The nemesis many believe is currently ruling Nigeria, every inch of Nigerian space. Has anyone given thought to how it shapes the color of things to come as we face the election? What are the more realities of insecurity in the country today? We are joined in the studio this morning by a member of the Northern Elders Forum who is also outspoken on the security issues, especially in the northwest of Nigeria, Professor Usman Yusuf, to help us provide answers to some of these poses. Good morning, Prof, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Abdulaziz. Thank you, Husseina.
The attention almost of the entire country is now set on the next coming election. But how possible or feasible is the election in view of the security situation, especially in the northern part of the country?
Yeah, so let me correct you a little bit. The attention of the elites and politicians is shifted to election. The common man is suffering and eking a living. You know that. So I'm truly amazed that at a time in our history where we are facing the worst insecurity of our lifetime, our politicians, all they are interested in is scrambling for office for 2023 because they are disconnected from the realities of our people. This is the honest truth. In many states, I cannot see how we're going to have credible elections because of insecurity. There's so much voter apathy because of insecurity and because people have not been satisfied with the past 8 years. I'm from Katsina. 1/3 of our state is under siege by bandits. How are you going to have a credible election there? Zamfara, the story is the same. Sokoto, east of Sokoto, Kebbi, the story is the same. We are not going to have the kind of election they had in Yobe and Borno, where people line up in IDP camps. We are calling on the federal government and security agency to secure this nation so that our people, millions of our people that have been displaced from their ancestral homes, can go back home, back to their lives, back to their farms, back to their people. Politicians are disconnected from realities of our people. They're only interested in politics. Insecurity, insecurity, insecurity will unravel this country. We've been screaming that for the last 2 years. They are not listening. Without security in this country, there will not be a country for them to govern. And they are not realizing that. And that's why we're raising our voices. We are raising our voices and telling them security is more important than all this infrastructure they're telling us. You can build 1 million bridges or flyovers. If there are no people there, you're just wasting your time. You can build a road full of gold. Without security, nothing will happen. So I see all of these politicians declaring they want to be president, they want to be president. What are you going to tell my people about security?
Okay. Now, former President Obasanjo stated that the government is overwhelmed, but we actually have the Minister of Information saying they're not overwhelmed and insists that terrorists actually suffer heavy casualties, but we're not seeing that.
Yeah. Hussein, don't annoy me this morning because they're just talking, they are disconnected from realities of our people. I and Shegumi visited deep forest, 8 states in the north, 5 in the northwest, and 3 in the north central. We did not only meet the leaders of bandits, we met traditional rulers, we met clerics, we met arros, we met Ensakai, we met victims, and had unspeakable horrors that no politician has had. They're here in Abuja declaring. And the Minister of Information saying, Terry, what does he know? Who has he seen? Where has he been? So they are disconnected from the realities of our people. Our people are in deep. Look at Abuja, Gwagwalada. This is the Federal Capital Territory. You're in Gwagwalada. The main artery to Abuja. From Kaduna to Abuja, people cannot drive safely. People cannot go on the rail safely. People cannot fly safely. Essentially, Kaduna is blockaded by these bandits. And we're here in Abuja deceiving ourselves. All is not well. Nigeria is not secure. Our people are not protected. And government needs to wake up and hear this loud and clearly. If they are deluding themselves, they need to wake up. The main issue for our people is security, security, security. This government came on three tripods that they're going to do. They're going to fix the economy, they're going to secure our nation, and they're going to fight out corruption. They haven't done any of these three. So they have records for us to question them about when they come 2023. Our people more secure today in 2022 than when they were in 2014? The answer is absolutely not. Because we've never seen IDPs until this government came. Our people were secure. Yes, we were poor. But our people were secure. We could go to the farm. Our women were not raped. Our cattle were not rustled. Our villages were not burnt. So we are much less secure today than we were 8 years ago. We are poorer today than we were 8 years ago. The economy in the north has essentially shifted to the forest, where bandits are getting hundreds of millions from people. And this government is coming to tell us we are going to, as part of our plan, we are going to take 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. Then I ask, when does the count start? The World Bank just gave a report in the last 2 years, 8 more million people have gotten into poverty. We're poorer today than we were. Corruption less today than it was? The answer is no. So let us not delude ourselves. The three things that this government came on: fighting corruption, insecurity, and improving the economy, they have failed on all these three counts. And they have a record for us to ask them questions when they come 2023. Our people are not safe. We are poorer. And this country is more corrupt than it was before they came.
Prof, you said you've been to 8 states to see for yourselves. Can you give us a snapshot of the intensity of this problem?
Right. I mean, you've been, Abdulaziz, I'm talking to kindred spirit, but because you've engaged them too, you've engaged Turji. Zamfara is where we started. Zamfara is near and dear to me because that's where I spent my formative secondary school years, from 1972 to 1976. Zamfara is the ancestral home of Sheikh Dr. Ahmed Gumi. We went in there. Why? Not at the behest of any government. We were not sent in there. We went in to listen. The Zamfara I know has turned into the way it is today. 70% of all bandits in this country have their origin in Zamfara. 70%. And Zamfara, wherever you find banditry, you can go back to what I call BHQ, Banditry HQ, and that is Zamfara. We ask ourselves, we do not ask ourselves questions, why and how did we get here? We'll only be deluding ourselves. We went to listen, because Martin Luther King said, violence is the language of the unheard. These are our people. I am Fulani, they are of flesh and blood. How did we get here? Nobody is asking that. The president is saying, go and speak to them. I will speak to them in the language they understand, or be ruthless. They have been speaking to us in the language we do not understand. Killing our people, raping our women, maiming, burning our villages. We are not listening. We went to listen, because it is not only the bandits. We have traditional rulers, we have clerics, we have archos, we have everybody. We hear unspeakable horrors when you come out, you want to cry. From people, from victims. These are our people. How did we get here? Nobody's asking such questions. Nobody's asking such questions. So we would listen to them, we would hear them in the thick forest. When we met in Niger, in the deep forest, we met war commanders, Kachallas from 6 northern states, deep into the forest. The Dogogi days. We would sit on the carpet on the floor, and then under a tree, Shegumi would listen to them, hear them out. They will say all their grievances. He will hear them. And he will speak to them in the sternest of voices. We have had your grievances. Your grievances are real. But these are no reason for doing what you're doing. There's nowhere in our culture, nowhere in our upbringing or scriptures that will agree with that. We've heard you. And the way we hear you, the next day we go back, we debrief the governors. We sit down with the governors. We went to Zamfara, we spent a week in Zamfara. We spent a week in Zamfara and we speak with the governor. And we told the governor we see poverty everywhere.
Okay, now what are some of those grievances? Because even those abductees that were abducted from Abuja-Kaduna train, the bandits actually said that the government knows what they want.
Yeah, so Hussein, what happened in Kaduna, Abuja is a different ball game. And I wrote a paper. We're in deeper trouble today than we were a long time ago. The reason is all this time we're going into the forest, Sheikh Gumi would talk to me with a sense of urgency. We need to get to these bandits before Boko Haram, ISWAP, Ansaru, or Dar es Salaam get to them. With their twisted religious ideology. These bandits have no ideology. All their grievances are generational over the lifetime of this country. We all know, we are folks in the forest. Over the lifetime of this country, our folks in the forest have never seen anything government. And now it has morphed into criminality. These bandits take these genuine grievances of majority of herdsmen and make it their shield and continue these grievances that has no relation with the people. So what did we hear? Simple basic things that we hear that can be solved if the leadership is listening. I've said it before and I will say it always. Banditry is essentially a social problem, and Nigeria is increasingly militarizing because we are not listening. What happened in Abuja, Kaduna Railway is a new ball game, lethal, because those ones, they are not the regular ragtag bandits I own, as Abdulaziz saw. They don't have. The moment we saw that, we knew this are either Boko Haram, ISWAP, Ansaru, or Dar es Salaam. Regular ragtag bandits do not have explosives. Regular ragtag bandits, when they do their attack, you don't hear them screaming Allah Akbar or other religious incantations. Regular Boko Haram are not as daring, breaking into trains and grabbing people. We had stories that the captives were conveyed in Siena. This is not ragtag Boko Haram. And as the days go by, we are finding out these are not. This is Boko Haram, Ansaru, or Dar es Salaam. It's a terrible, 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 terrible combination. And we ask ourselves, people do not know. People need to ask themselves, why did Boko Haram not have a foothold in the Northwest all these 13 years? They've been causing problems because they have been preaching long before they picked up arms in the Northwest. And the reason is because it's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of trying. And it wasn't accidental. They've been wanting to penetrate Kano. You remember the Emir of Kano, the late Emir of Kano, Adu Bayero? Mm-hmm. The reason they did not get a foothold in the Northwest that they've been coveting for is because the traditional rulers and the clerics in the Northwest were very proactive in preaching against people accepting this their twisted ideology. So they have now gotten foothold into what they have coveted for years. A combination of these ragtag bandits, essentially foot soldiers, drug-fueled, battle-hardened, fearless, that know the terrain. And Boko Haram ISWAP is going to be a lethal combination in this country. We've raised our voices worse than Al-Shabaab or worse than the Taliban. We need to be able to get the same traditional rulers, the same clerics, to tease them, to pull them away from this combination. Because this two combination is lethal. And federal government needs to understand the change that has come to this banditry. We're in serious trouble.
What's the outcome of those your interventions? You mentioned that you met with the governors and all that.
Yeah.
But it's like nothing came out of it.
No. Abdulaziz, you know, you've interviewed, you've interacted with them. And we were not in any way deluding ourselves that one visit, two visits, three visits would make a difference. Not at all. And we were not the first. You probably were there before even we came. We were not the first to have engaged bandits. All the governors of northern Nigeria did. What happened? Anywhere you have conflicts, anywhere in the world, you see clerics coming in. From Lebanon, from the IRA, from Colombia, clerics come in as independent, impartial, between combatants. And what we had, and I saw that these clerics, these bandits, in spite of all the mayhem they're causing all across this country, they listen to clerics. Turji, when he gathered for us, battalion size, deep into the forest, his child soldiers, over 1,000 of them, they were waiting 2 hours before we got there. He said they would not have gathered if it wasn't for a cleric coming. They don't necessarily know Sheikh Gumi. And the same in Niger, and the same in Kebbi, and the same in Sokoto. So they listen. I want to ask you, on the 5th of March, there was a huge Maulud gathering in Gusau. Hundreds of thousands of people, of faithfuls, gathered in Gusau. The guns fell silent. People went in there, hundreds of thousands, in Gusau, war zone. The event was done over 2-3 days. People went back home in peace. Nothing happened. So I tell people, the answer is back to our clerics, back to our traditional rulers. Politicians are the ones that cause this mess, and the military cannot solve this problem. Because I've said it again and again, there is a role for the military, but there's not going to be a military solution to banditry. If anybody tells you there's going to be a military solution, it's either he doesn't know it or he knows it. He's been dishonest. Nowhere in the history of warfare, none, have conflicts like this been won on the battlefield. The role of the military is to bring an enabling environment for dialogue to happen. So let us not put our military in an unwinnable, impossible situation. They have a critical role to play. They are not the cause of this mess, and they will not solve this mess. What will solve this mess is going back to the primary problem and sit down and involve all stakeholders, particularly clerics, traditional rulers in front. Politicians, give them the cover, and the military, the overriding cover, and everybody else coming in. What we realize, finally, is that all across the 6 geopolitical zones, elders have lost control of their youth. We Fulani elders have lost control of our youth. That's why you have Fulani kids doing all of this. Kanuri elders have lost control of their youth. That's why you have Kanuri's kids as Boko Haram. Igbo elders have lost control of their youth. That's why you have kids that were born after the Civil War wanting to break this country up again. And we saw that in the Southwest. During NSAS, when they ransacked the palace of the Emir of Lagos, when they burned down Lagos and were coming this way, there was not a single Yoruba elder that could stand up and bring these kids back to order. What that tells us is that all of us elders need to come in and solve this problem.
But probably you have not answered my question about specifically your own mission. How or why did it fail somehow?
No, it hasn't failed. So
But
the purpose
we haven't
of
seen anything out.
no, it hasn't failed. And like I said, you as the journalist, we as the clerics, and going there, or the politician, or
Is
the
it still
soldier.
on? Is it something
Nobody.
that you are
We
still?
are doing things quietly. No one group of person can handle this problem alone. Especially when the center, their body language is different. Their body language is military, 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 military. It will come back to settling and listening to everybody. That will be the final. That will be the final. We are going. We've been visiting all over the place. As far as Elisha, Baruten, close to the borders with Benin Republic. Kogi, we went there. We are engaging. And it's not only the bandits. We are engaging legal Fulanis, preaching all across this country for peaceful coexistence with locals. We've been to 8 states, 28 more to go. We are in this country. What is happening is that there is essentially civil war going around between Fulanis and local communities. Fulanis and houses killing each other. Fulanis and Gwaris, Fulanis and Nupe, Fulani and Dakarkari. If you do not have genuine local reconciliation, we'll be wasting our time. Problems are local. Solutions must be found locally. Big plans from Abuja without consulting with locals will never work. Because Gandhi said, whatever you do for me, without me, it's against me. So we are, in fact, I just came out of a meeting and we're going into a meeting, we are talking. The difference now is we are not going into the forest to see bandits. Why? Because the federal government has declared them terrorists. So we cannot engage terrorists. We allow the military to go and deal with the terrorists. But we continue to engage.
Okay, well, like you said earlier, you know, most of the leaders, what they're interested in is the elections. And we also have INEC coming out to say that insecurity will not stop the polls in 2023. So if insecurity persists, how safe are, you know, the voters? We also have a lot of aspirants, especially presidential aspirants, coming out with the mantra of tackling insecurity if they are voted, you know, president.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody, any one of them coming to us and telling us how. If President Muhammadu Buhari from the Northwest cannot bring peace and security to the Northwest, who do we expect? Oshimba Joda has been with him for the last 7 years. They are part and parcel of this government that has failed to secure this country and protect our people. O Amechi, O Tinubu, who do we expect to secure Katsina if President Muhammadu Buhari could not secure that? They don't understand the culture, they don't understand the people, they don't understand the genesis, and they are part of this government. They have a record, we'll ask them. What are you going to do differently? You are part of the mess. You are part of the people that put us in this ditch. You cannot put us in a ditch and say you're the ones to get out of that ditch. What is more important to us, I've said it again and again, is insecurity secures. We have not seen any infrastructure. Corruption is continuing. Our economy is in the forest. Secures. What are you coming to tell us? Why should we vote for you? It's a simple question we'll ask them. And we're waiting for them. We're waiting.
So, Prof, at the final question, do you see elections holding in places, for example, like Burnungwari, like Shiroro, for example, in Niger State, or in places like Ankara, like Zurmi, for example, in Zamfara? How feasible, especially now, you know, in the new Electoral Act, it states that all primary elections must hold in the constituencies. Can these elections be places where political activities can actually take place?
Right, but the honest truth is no. The honest truth, yeah, there will be elections, but they will not be credible elections. Look at what happened in Anambra. Only 10% of the eligible voters, of the registered voters, voted in a governor. That's not the kind of election we want. We want an election where people are free and secure to come and cast their votes. We want an election where every eligible Nigerian can aspire to the highest office of the land, regardless of where he comes from. Without security, I do not see how credible elections will happen in Nigeria. End of story.
Thank you very much, Prof, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And that's been Professor Usman Yusuf, a member of the Northern Elders Forum, who has also been in the forefront of finding solution to the security problem afflicting the Northwest Nigeria. Thank you once again, and we hope to have you another time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sena. Thank you.
So we take a short break, and we'll join you back in a moment.